Dad was proud of me. Other men in the community were proud of me. I had beaten many other men who had years more experience with pistols than I did. I got to take home a huge frozen turkey that fed my family for Thanksgiving. I knew that I was my father's delight. What had happened in these two incidents in my young life? My dad and the other men of our community had taught me part of what becoming a man meant in our culture. They had tested me, and I had passed the test. In their eyes, I was another step closer to becoming a man. They were conferring masculinity on me. I didn't understand everything about that at the time. I just knew that my dad loved me and that he and his fellow men in the community were proud of me, proud of my success. In my 8-year-old mind, I had just been added to the list of Western heroes. You know, John, Clint, and Mark. As things turned out, I'm glad I had this level of confidence at 8 years old. A little over a year later, when I was 10, I was wounded. Not physically, but psychologically. In order to support our family, Dad had to leave home for a job 100 miles away. I saw him every couple of weeks if I was lucky. He wasn't there instantly for me to talk to him. We lived way out in the sticks of Nevada. We didn't have a phone. Imagine that. I couldn't call him. When Dad was home, he was really involved with the business that Mom was attempting to keep running. It didn't seem like he had time for us kids. I wasn't hearing, "Good job, Mark," or much of any kind of affirmation anymore. It was just about this time that a family friend started to molest me. And this continued until I entered high school. I knew it was wrong, but my dad trusted this guy. Because my dad trusted him, I came to believe that the abuse was my dad's fault. But I couldn't tell my dad. I couldn't tell my mom. I didn't tell my wife. I couldn't tell anybody. I never told a soul until I began to prepare for our men's boot camp last April. Why didn't I say anything for so long? The abuse would have stopped immediately if I had told somebody I could trust. But I couldn't trust anybody. They might find out that I wasn't really a man, that I didn't belong on that list with Roy and John and Clint. So I started posing. When I was with my friends, I made up stories about what my dad and I had done recently. And posing became easier as I went along. I was being rewarded for it. As I entered puberty, what I had heard from my dad at 8 years old just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to assure me that I still had what it took to be a man. I was not sure anymore that my father delighted in me. I was growing into a man-sized person, but I wasn't hearing from my dad what I really needed to hear. What would convince me that I really had what it took to be a man. So I decided that in order to be a man, I had to do what I considered to be manly things. I rode and trained horses in the 4-H club. I tried hard to have the best trained horse, and I won blue ribbons at the county and state 4-H horse shows. I went backpacking, I hunted, I fished, I climbed rocks, I climbed mountains.